Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated, where today I'm joined by TV, radio host, and DJ, Hannah Rad. So welcome, Hannah.
Thank you so much, Michael, for having me.
Oh, this is such a thrill for me. When they sent over your bio, I'm reading through it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've seen you in so many things. You're
I think
everywhere.
that's the general consensus. People were like, we know what you do, we just don't know where you're doing it on any given day. I don't know if it's because I'm a Capricorn or if it's just because I love to work, but like I can't have one job. I gotta have like 10.
Yeah, you're a hard worker. I mean, you're
Yeah, for sure.
you're like you for a while anyway. You were dominating all the little sports channels.
Yeah, I was really blessed to be a part of that because the world that I come from is music, but I'm an athlete. Like I went to college on a lacrosse scholarship. I played volleyball, softball, soccer growing up, so that was always a big part of my childhood. So to be able to merge the two eventually into my career and work with X Games and ESPN and have conversations about music, culture, and sports, that was really important to me because the way that musicians and athletes approach their craft and their creativity, it's not all that dissimilar, and there's common ties there. So to be able to blend that together for me was really special.
Yeah, that's really cool. Let me start this way. So when I was in school, and that's been a little bit longer back than when you were in school, but there was no lacrosse. Like lacrosse is relatively new. So when you started lacrosse, what interested you in that sport? What drew you to that?
It's funny that you say that because it wasn't even present in my high school until my junior year. So I only played 2 years in my high school career. Like I said, I played every sport growing up. My dad was a runner, so he really wanted myself and my 3 siblings to be runners. And I hated running without a purpose, like long distance, whatever. Like I was like, what is the goal here? Like, get me on a soccer field and I'll run because I got to kick the ball. I got to put this like, extra activity added to it. So I kind of fell out of love with running, even though, I'm good enough at it. And I continue to run to this day now because I'm not forced to do it. And I love it just for general exercise. So when the school introduced the lacrosse program, I was like, this is my opportunity to be able to run, but still be athletic in a different capacity. And never having seen the sport before, never having picked up a stick, I think I was just had some like innate natural ability with it. And when I tell you, like, sometimes we'd only man 8, 9 girls on the field and the other team would have a full 11. And I was getting double, triple teamed and still scoring like 10 goals a game. Like, I don't know what it was. It was like some superhuman kind of strength with it. So I was fortunate enough to be able to play and then transition that into a 4-year collegiate career as well, too. I set some crazy records, but that's neither here nor there. It was a great time. It was fun.
That's awesome, though.
I never could have imagined.
That's a rough sport.
I got kicked out of my first game. Check this out. So, as a freshman, I was the starting center. So that's like the premier position. Like you score the goals, you directing your teammates, whatever. And in the first half, I'd already scored like 2 or 3 goals. So of course they come, they're double teaming me, they're triple teaming me. And I took the stick and I started pushing this girl back. I was like, get off me, and kind of cross-checked her, which is illegal. And so she falls to the ground and get a yellow card. I'm out for 2 minutes. It's halftime. We're back in. They come at me with 2, 3 girls immediately right again. They're like, this girl's too good. And so I got a little bit aggro with it. And I took my stick and wound up and kind of hit her across like the neck and shoulders. Immediate red card. My dad's on the side. I was like, yeah. My mom's there looking horrified. And I was like, well, it is what it is. But
she brought that on herself.
It's a pretty brutal sport.
So there, the local high school, here where I'm at, the girls lacrosse team works out in the gym that I go to, and they get at it. I mean, it's they don't mess around.
It's a lot of running, and it's a lot of muscle and mentality that goes into it. And the funny part is, like, you're out there wearing a kilt, and it's like it's super cute, but it's kind of brutal at the same time.
I've always wanted to wear a kilt. Maybe that's the sport for me.
Yeah, hey, listen, go for it.
Can you teach me the rules and get me up to speed? I mean, I'm pretty, I'm not fast anymore. I'm pretty slow.
Okay, we're gonna put you in a position that stands right next to the opposite team's goalie, so you could just shoot and score. So
that's all I need. That's right.
You don't need to run anywhere.
I don't want to have to. It could take a while. My speed days are well behind me.
All right. Well, maybe you're the goalie then. You ain't got to move that far. We'll just put you there.
I could do that. I could totally absorb some hits. I'll take up a lot of space.
Done and done. It sounds like a plan.
So you were a collegiate athlete. What made you want to kind of go from there and get into the entertainment business? I know you do it in a lot of different ways, but what made you interested in getting in that business?
I think from a young age, entertainment and especially music has always intrigued me. You know, I grew up I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but when I say Pittsburgh, it's like 30 minutes south of their farm country. Like right. The joke that I always go back and forth, I was like, yeah, I had lots of neighbors. They were cows. Like we were in like farm country. We were on the farm, but we were next door to the one. So it was a really small town that I grew up in, and I fell in love with listening to the radio. And so when the top 8 at 8 countdown would come on, I mean, I come from an era where we were still using dual head tape decks, like hit record and play at the same time and recording the songs.
Oh yeah.
Recording my own like homemade bedroom radio shows and interviewing fake guests. I feel like I always had that in me. And my goal at the time was to get on radio. And so I went to school for graphic design and communications in a dual major, and graduated and immediately went to New York right after school and had a job that wasn't in that field, but I was like, it's getting me closer to where I need to be. Eventually I made my way into radio there. So I was on radio in New York for a number of years before I transitioned that into TV. So TV was never really the ultimate goal for me, but it was a natural progression. And it was essentially someone coming to me saying, hey, do you want to do what you do on the radio, but just with a camera in your face, which was great. Like I'll tell you what, like my interview skills are great. Like I loved being on the radio. Yeah. But when I first did my like first screen test on the network that I was working at, they were like, listen, the producers were like, what you're saying is great. It's amazing. But like, you look really weird on camera. Like, what are you doing with your hands? Like, I wasn't used to like being seen while I was conducting interviews. So I was just standing there like looking right in the camera. Like it was awkward and a huge learning curve for me, but I'm glad it's gotten me to where I am now. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Are you still DJing?
I actually just did a live stream like 2 days ago. So in this new era in which we all live inside our phones and our computers now, I live stream over on Twitch. I do a weekly DJ set. Sometimes I'll pop up on like guest spots on other radio stations. I've done BBC in the UK, Sirius XM. So I'll pop up every now and again. It's not the focus, but it's definitely something for fun that gets my mind, you know, I can like clear my head with it a little bit.
Yeah. Am I crazy or have you guest hosted for Hip Hop Nation?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, Hip Hop Nation on Sirius XM. Yeah. So I've been on there quite a few times. Shouts out to my guy Tor, who hosts over there. He's dope. And we've been lucky enough to link up like that, which is really cool.
Yeah, that one's good because they'll play some of the older school stuff.
Yeah, they will. Yeah,
well.
For sure.
So
it bridges the gap because like I am like forever like Peter Pan youthful, but I'm not as young as I might put on with my knowledge of like current music and stuff. So it's a nice blend between stuff I grew up on and stuff that's current as well.
Yeah. I was pretty sure that I had heard you on there on some of these car rides and stuff.
Listen, that's the best place to be listening to the radio. Get in the car and go.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You turn that on and travel cross country and
hell yeah.
That can be a nice little day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's not too bad. So I wanted to ask you about your digital talk show. Mm-hmm. Right. So I want to get the name right. Daily Drift.
Yep.
Yeah. So tell me about that. You know, how did you get involved in that, and what exactly, do you cover?
That's kind of the dream now, and that's kind of where I've transitioned into. So like I said, I wanted to be in radio. Now it's TV. And I think I always kind of had the desire to have my own space and platform in order to tell stories that are important and impactful, make a difference, put on for other people. Like I never really got in this business to be like, I need to be the one who's famous and known. I have such a good idea and appreciation for what other people do within music, TV, entertainment that I want to help put them on and their creativity. So that's my main focus right now. And with the Daily Drift, it's a brand new show on the new Complex Twitch channel. Yeah. And I've been fortunate enough to work for a lot of the big music media companies, Revolt TV, which is Puff Daddy's channel, MTV, ESPN, like I said, Red Bull. Like I've been involved with all of these ones that are like kind of synonymous with that, but Complex is special because it's music, it's lifestyle, it's sneakers, it's pop culture. And basically what this show does for 2 hours a day is catches everybody up on any information that they might have missed. But the cool part about it is because we live in this, new digital space now, the conversation, you never really know where it's going to go because you have commenters coming in. And if I'm talking about a story that they don't want to talk about, they'll let you know real quick. So that the response is immediate, which is incredible. We've been lucky to have upwards of 500,000 people tuned in at any one time, and they'll let you know what they're feeling or not. So to be able to get the pulse of what's happening in real time is invaluable rather than being in a studio with an audience that can't quite communicate with you. We look at the commenters and the chatters as almost like the co-host of the show. Like they'll let you know what's happening. They want to filter questions to a guest that comes through. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like the show is great. And we do talk about like important things in pop culture and music.
Right.
I also do like taste tests of terrible foods that are new on the market. Like it's really like a space in which, and I'm very blessed, I can't believe someone gave me 2 hours to talk about whatever I want, essentially.
I love the idea. And I love the fact that you've got an actual audience that can direct the show to a certain extent. And
it's a really unique experience. Like they've given us an opportunity and a space to make our opinions and voice heard, but we do it in a way that, it's not super judgy and heavy and harsh. And it's just like, this is the reality of what's happening here right now. So come join us for the show as well too. And the commenters, like I said, that's like the best part of the show. Like the information is all great and I can kind of carry it all together, but you never really know what someone's going to say. And it's a lot of jokes, which is great.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So is it because you're doing the talking. So are you also reading the comments or is somebody reading those and saying, switch to this?
No, it's both. So I'm doing the talking and reading the comments in real time. So this whole setup that I'm in right now, there's 1, 2, 3 cameras, 2 laptops. So there's like a whole different setup here. It looks real cute, but everything behind the scenes, like half of my bedroom is a bunch of wires and lights. I'm sure if someone walked in, they'd have a very different interpretation of what they think I'm doing in my bedroom.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh no. I would be terrible on that type of show because I could not do both at one time. I couldn't react quick. I'd have to be like, hold on. And then I'd read. And they'd be like, okay, you don't want to talk about that. So we'll move over here.
Yeah, well, that's what's unique about it, where it's like everyone's patient and understanding. And, half the time when I'm on the show and I'm like looking into the camera, I'll pull away and I'll look straight into the laptop and I'm just typing along. And you want to make people feel like they're there with you, essentially. And that's kind of what this does. It's like you're a fly on the wall and you are a vocal fly at that, like in this existence right here, which is really great.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love the whole the concept behind it, and it's what we try a lot with the podcast, and we've got we're on social media, so you're always trying to find ways to interact with your audience, and you've got it down. I mean, that's perfect.
Yeah, it's a really unique experience. I think I do come from like the old school of thought in which it was like, to make it, you need a TV network, one of the big ones, and a full studio and hair and makeup and all this. And for years, because that was my world, that was my existence. I could go sit and glam for an hour and have people catering to me. And that's just the reality of what my career was. And so when YouTube starts taking off, and even platforms like TikTok and Twitter, and like people were utilizing IGTV to do shows, I was like, I don't need that because I got the big one. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And when all that went away, I was like, oh shit, why did I deter from this for so long? Because now this is where I live. I live in this small screen.
So I told the kids who they always ask who I'm talking to for the day. So I told them. Said it's Hannah Rad. And so they said, make sure you ask her about Crash Karaoke.
Crash Karaoke, man, that was such a good time. Really unique. And again, one of those things that I wouldn't never have like positioned my thought on being like, yeah, that's something I want to do. But when the opportunity came to me to host a game show in which it was super impromptu, I mean, that's a space that I work great in. Like forget a script and like bullet points of information. Like, let me go off the cuff, off the dome. And like, that's where I thrive. So like, basically we want to do this show and you're going to bust into unsuspecting locations and you're going to host a karaoke sing off in real time, and whoever wins is getting $100.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that as really simple as it is? Because I'll bust it anywhere. When I tell you I almost got my ass whooped up in Harlem in a barbershop, yeah, that's very real. But we took over a plane one time, which was that was an incredible amount of logistical work. Shouts out to the team behind that. We took over a flight from Florida up to, I want to say, Maine. So it was like a 2.5, 3 hour flight.
Oh, you did it on the flight?
Yeah, we did. So we all we all boarded the flight, and it just happened to be all these senior citizens.
I assumed you meant you did it before.
No, we were on the flight. The flight takes off, and it was all these like senior citizens flying back from the summer or from the winter back up to like warmer weather. The snowbirds go back and forth. So being the show's on MTV, all the songs that we're like asking people to sing is like the Taylor Swifts, the Justin Biebers, the like big pop songs. And so to get some of these individuals to sing while we've just disrupted their flight was I mean, it's an experience I'll never forget.
What? So did you ever go into places and they're like, no, you can't.
There was a slight amount of pre-production work where maybe one person in the venue would have said yes, but they wouldn't tell the employees or they wouldn't tell the people shopping in the space. But for the most part, it was unbeknownst to the people who were in there. And I think everyone was super welcoming. I mean, I'm such a lover of everyone. And I feel like the energy and good vibes that I bring into it, like they were like, this girl is weird. What the hell is happening? Let's hear what she has to say. And then when you offer people money, of course they're going to let you stay.
Well, that's right. Yeah, the kids love that show. Yeah, they were very excited about it. I always find it interesting because a lot of times I'll tell them who's coming on. They'll be like, And I'll say, they were in this, and they're like, but they knew right away who you were.
I love it. Shouts out to your kids.
I call them kids, but they're all adults now.
How old are your kids?
Well, so the youngest is 20. The oldest is 26. I mean, they're still pretty young.
All right, but that's the right demographic for watching that show, so that's perfect.
Yeah. They loved it. So I wanted to talk to you too. So all of us have been looking for things to do during this strange year with this pandemic. You chose to just travel around California and actually do a YouTube show.
I did. You mentioned it before. Sometimes it's cool just to get in the car and go, and essentially that's what I did. It's been a wild and weird time this year, but it's been pretty wonderful. And I think I'm always optimistically looking for the positive outcomes and results out of something, and as an opportunity to learn something as well. And mental health is something that I talk a lot about. And it's something that, I'm someone who has a great deal of anxiety. And sometimes that just amounts to a whole lot of energy when I wake up in the morning. I work out and work it off and I'm good. But one day, and I don't know that it was anything to do necessarily with lockdown and the protests and everything that was happening here in LA. Yeah. But I just woke up and I was like, I feel crummy. Like I can't get out of bed. Like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, I'll let myself lay there. I was like, I'll lay here all day. I'll go right back to bed. I'll just never leave. And so I woke up the next morning and I was like, I don't want to feel like that again. What's one way I can get myself out of this space physically and mentally? And so I just got in the car and started driving. And as I'm driving, I'm like listening to the radio and I'm crying and I don't know where I'm going. Like I put no destination in the GPS. I just started driving because at this point, like nothing was open in LA. Like there's nowhere to go and do. I'm just like, I'm no destination in sight. And as I'm sitting in the car and just driving, I'm like, you know what if I start talking about the things that have been impactful to me? Probably some tough situations, but how I came out on the other side of it. And like, talk to people about how I'm still a work in progress. I'm not perfect. I still go through my shit. Like, obviously I do. But this idea, and I was like, I'll drive around to these beautiful locations in California and pair that with like some things that maybe weren't so beautiful in my life, but find the light in it. So raced back home, started drafting it up and edited a trailer together, like in no time whatsoever. Like it just came from nowhere. Like, I don't know where it came from. It needed to come out, and that developed the series Sorry to Keep You Waiting, which was kind of this like love letter to myself about like, sorry to keep you waiting. You've been bottling all this stuff in for so long. Just get it out. Yeah. And it wasn't necessarily an opportunity to just like be like, okay, I've gone through some stuff. Let me put it out on y'all in the world. Responsibility that, hey, this is your problem now. But it was more so like, you know what? this is what works for me.
Right.
I have a therapist I talk to when I need to. I get into nature in the ocean when I feel like I need to be grounded a bit more. Here's the things that work for me. And I'm not perfect and I've made mistakes in my life. I've also had some, terrifying situations that I've been in, but I've come out of it. And because of, and in spite of all that stuff, I'm still here and able to talk about it. So to be able to have a platform like that where no network, no budget, nothing tied to it, and just go and do it. I crowdfunded it. I went on the road for 7 days, shot it all myself, edited it together. Like this was really a one-woman project from start to finish. And I'm really proud of the results. And it's going to eventually turn into season 2. So pre-production is already started, but more legwork to be done in the top of the year.
Yeah, I'm so envious, I think, of that. That's amazing. What a great idea. And, I think a lot of people are suffering, especially with just the being stuck indoors, especially earlier in the year. I love you're taking that kind of negative experience and turning it into something positive. And I'm guessing that you have received just a ton of positive feedback on that.
When I tell you that the feedback that has been positive that's come back, and the additional feedback where now everyone thinks I'm their de facto therapist, the stories I've heard are heartbreaking. Some are beautiful. And it's just people are willing to share their story. And I think that's the one thing that I would have hoped coming out of this, not just for myself to feel some kind of release and share some vulnerability that people don't get to see. Like we've talked about, you get to see Hannah, who's funny and bursting into barbershops and singing karaoke and like a really jovial, light experience on camera, but they don't know that like that's 5 minutes of screen time. Like y'all don't see the other like 23 hours and 55 minutes of the day where you have to deal with real things. And so I figured like I'm in a position that I've always used my platform to be able to help other people tell their stories when I wasn't being genuinely authentic with shit, today I'm struggling. Like, here, let me let you know about me. And like, you see all the smiles and the good times, but it's not always like that. So I feel like it was important for me to share that duality, but do so in a positive way that says, you know what, I'm not perfect, but I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah. It had to be very cathartic.
A million times over. The amount of tears and laughs and crazy times I shared with myself on this drive and on this journey. Like, there's so much footage that is like, you can make a whole, I don't know, like a B-roll of bloopers out of it.
So how did you have that set up in the car? How were you recording that?
I had 2 cameras in the car. A GoPro was strapped to the outside of the car. I had an iPhone pointed on the inside. And then I had 2 other cameras that I took with me when I was like out on actual location. So I basically had cameras rolling the entire time for 7 straight days. I went to 7 cities. So in 1 week's time. So it was a huge undertaking of time and effort and planning to be like, all right, I need to get from point A to point B, sleep, wake up, get to the location, shoot, pack up, drive to the next location, sleep. And it was like, 7 days. I was like, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it big.
Yeah. And then to have to take all that footage and edit it.
Yeah.
So that you can put it out there for people to watch. I mean, that just had to take an enormous amount of time.
Yeah, I tried to get it out as quickly as I could. 1 week after coming back from off the road, the first episode came out. So I'd given myself a week to edit each episode from there on out, which
that's amazing.
I'm not an editor by trade at all. But like I said, if I ain't got one job, I got 10. So I'm going to figure out how to do it.
I've got some editing for you.
Yeah.
If you're just sitting around looking for stuff to do.
I got a window between like 4 and 5 p.m. today. And that's about it. Lay it on me.
At your rate, you could probably get 5 or 6 episodes out for me by then.
Probably. Let's go. What you got?
So when you were growing up, because you've got so much energy, were your parents, pretty, supportive of all the things that you wanted to get into? Because I just have this image that you were involved in just a ton.
I mean, I did it. I'll tell you, and not a lot of people know this, and it's not something I've made quite known, but I was pretty shy as a kid growing up. Like from the time I could talk, I mean, my nose was buried in a book. And I think until about like 5th, 6th grade, I didn't really talk a lot at all. Like when I say like
I'm an
bordering
introvert, so I get
slightly
it.
mute. Like I just wouldn't talk. I had like a lot of not anxiety, but just shyness that would come through. I have an older sister. She's 18 months older than I am. And she was just the boisterous, loudmouth performer who was always like, wanted to be full front and center of attention. And that was cool because like I got to hang out with her and all the older kids.
Right.
But if someone was like, yo, what do you girls want to eat? My sister would answer and I'd be like, I ain't got to say shit and I could just show up. That's fine. So like I got used to not talking. And now you can tell like you can't shut me up. I think
you're making up for all the lost time.
I think so. But it never was for lack of any energy whatsoever. Yeah. Like even though I was a bit quiet, like I was always very active. If my mom gave me chores, I would always beg to take the chores that were outside. I wanted to like rake the leaves and run the lawnmower like by hand because I wanted to be active all the time. And I think I've just generally always had a lot of energy in that way. You know, I'm someone who wakes up and doesn't necessarily need a cup of coffee. I'll do a cartwheel out the bed and I'm ready to go to the gym.
Oh, that's terrific. That's terrific. So I know you work out a lot. What's your workout routine? What are you doing on a daily basis?
I tell you, when I first left college and moved to New York, because like I said, I was playing lacrosse, but that's an incredible and strenuous workout regimen. Yeah. It's not just practicing on the field. It's, you know, waking up to do laps in the pool at 6 a.m. and then weight training and then running and like all this extra stuff. So when I moved to New York and I didn't have that kind of schedule regimented in me, I fell out of love with exercising and working out. I was like, I've put my body through it for the past 4 years. I need a break. So I definitely like everything fluctuated and I was just like, let me just do me, and working out wasn't part of anything that I was looking forward to. And then after a couple of years, I got back into it and I was the one who tried every fad. It was Soul Cycle, then boot camp, then Orange Theory, then all the different like hot new trends and stuff that people were going through. And I think after doing so many classes and becoming more in tune with my body and how that affects my mental health as well too, because it's super important for me to be grounded in that way, to feel physically and mentally fit. Is that I've taken disciplines from all the places that I've been taught by incredible instructors from all over. And I've built like my own regimen. People are like, why don't you train anyone else? And I was like, I'm barely getting it together for myself. That's
what I was curious about. So is it you know, weight heavy or is it cardio heavy?
It's cardio heavy for sure. Yeah, okay. And I think that's like I said, like I have so much energy all the time that I need to burn it off. And more than likely I need to do it first thing in the morning, because otherwise like my whole energy and willpower is shot by the end of the day. So I wake up, bust it out, and then I can go about my business.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when you have downtime, which is rare, but what do you like to do in the quiet times?
I think for me, like I said, getting into nature is really important. I've always had an affinity for water and the beach. You know, growing up in Pittsburgh, the most water you're around is 3 rivers, and that's not that cute. They ain't that clean. I didn't even see the beach, I think, till I was about 13, 14 years old. We went on a family vacation and I immediately fell in love with it.
Was it Myrtle?
No, it wasn't Myrtle. It was Ocean City, New Jersey.
Oh, not Ocean City, Maryland. Okay. You know, West Virginians, we love Myrtle Beach.
You know what? I've actually never been, sadly. I've never been. Am I missing much?
It's yes and no, because it's very commercial. Okay. Which I'm not a fan of. Yeah. But it has terrific waves. So if you like to surf or body surfing thing, really good.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, like even growing up, because I was such a voracious reader, I had this idea of where I wanted to be when I grew up. Yeah. Like I always needed to be near water and the beach. I had this love that was like unfounded of Australia at a very young age. And I had seen it in maybe books or movies, and I would tell my parents, I was like, I love this place. And they're like, what do you know about it? Like, we're not going there. Like, my parents don't even have passports. Like, I have been lucky enough in my career that I've been able to travel quite a bit. Right. And I went to Australia for the first time, like 3-4 years ago. And when I tell you, I cried the first time I saw the ocean there, because I like knew that like somehow that's where I was meant to be. Like at a certain point in my life, I was intended to be there. And I've been quite a few times over the past couple of years, which has been such a blessing. But that like intuitiveness of knowing that like the water and the beach gets me right. Now living out here in LA, about 6 months ago, right in the middle of like intense lockdown and quarantine times, I was living closer to the middle of the city, which is pretty landlocked in terms of not having a lot of anything but concrete and buildings around.
Right.
And I was like, well, what's keeping me here? Because it used to be that I was close to the studios I was going to shoot TV and all that stuff. But like now that everything's in my apartment, why am I in this area? So I actually ended up moving out to the beach here in LA over the past 6 months. And
which beach are you close to?
I'm right near Venice Beach.
Ooh,
yeah. So for that proximity for me is invaluable. To be able to jump out my apartment, hop on my bike, go 3 minutes, and I'm at the water. Like that's incredible.
That water is cold though.
It's cold, but we had a really good summer. We had a really hot, good summer, and like I said, I look at the optimism and positivity out of this entire situation that we're in. Because things slowed down and the beaches were closed for so long, the water got cleaner. The beaches got cleaner. There wasn't the trash and the, heavy people pollution that is usually prevalent there. And the water got clear in a way that like, even at the shoreline, there was tons of fish, like in a way that you never really saw. So I think
I would love that.
We have to take the small blessings that we can get out of all this and
So are you out there on the gym equipment?
Yeah. I mean, I'll take it out there. I'll take some weights out there with me. I'll run along the beach line every now and again. And I'm really fortunate to be in a position.
What Muscle Beach is there, right?
It is, but there's not much happening there now. Because
I know what happened with it. I guess this year happened, but
this year happened, and I mean everything over there is it's all pretty much shut down. I have a friend who owns a bike store over there, and they just chose to not reopen. As much as like people were out there riding bikes, he was like, it's just not worth it now. It's just not the same traffic that it used to be.
Maybe by next summer we can get some of that back.
For sure.
I hope so. That would be great. Yeah. So I know you covered some of the X Games for ESPN. Yeah. Did you ever try any of those sports? They're all crazy.
I mean, I can skateboard, but just to get from point A to point B. Don't put me on a ramp and don't make me do any tricks. I used to like ride a longboard when I was in college, and I've been on boards out here along the beach as well too. And I think for some of our filming and for to show that I was adept at being in this world that I don't necessarily come from, we've definitely done a lot of shooting with me on the board. And then for the winter games as well too, I ski, so I've been able to go and ski as well, which has been pretty great. And to take certain musicians, we've been able to like get on the ski lift and film the interview as we're going up this massive hill, which is so cool because it's like we're both immersed in each other's worlds, and it's been really cool. And like I said, like I can't say enough how blessed I've been to be in the position that I am. Yeah,
that's great. So have you considered acting?
I have. You know what? I've had a lot of people. I was just having this conversation yesterday. People are like, you should be in the Fast and the Furious or have your own Marvel superhero. Yay. And I was like, I'll manifest that, but I can't act for shit. Like, I am the most truthful and honest person that you'll ever find, to the point where like, and it's no disrespect to actors and actresses, but like for me to assume someone else's identity and act, to me just doesn't feel genuine. Like I would be the worst actress ever. I've considered it, and I've screen tested for parts. Obviously nothing has come to fruition. But if it was meant to be, it's meant to be. But I don't think I innately and genuinely have that gift.
Acting is not easy.
No, not at all.
It's not. Yeah. I had the opportunity to act as myself. I was just playing myself, and the words were basically words that I had said. Yeah. I was still terrible.
That would be me too. I think I like I said, I'm so genuine and honest. Like I'm the worst secret keeper. Like don't ask me to plan your surprise party because I'll blow it before it happens.
What kind of books were you reading growing up?
I mean, I was reading like some heavy stuff. My dad had all kinds of like true crime novels, John Grisham, like really deep stuff that like, I remember reading The Client when I was like 5 or 6. Like that's
pretty deep for that young.
You're supposed to be reading as a kid, but I was just ready to absorb everything that came my way. When I was really, really young, because I was reading so much, like going into kindergarten, I remember they were like, you can read all this right now? They're like, let's test you. Here's the Wall Street Journal. Read it and tell us what you're reading right now. And I read it, and they were like, oh. And they eventually put me in the 8th grade English and reading and writing class. And I was this little 5th grader with big, like nerdy glasses. And like my sister was only, like I said, 1.5 years, 2 years older than me. And so I was like skipping her in grades as a 5-year-old.
I'm sure she loved that.
I don't think she was happy about that.
What about musical instruments? Do you play any of those?
I've learned piano growing up, but I was really bad with like practicing. I hated it. I tried valiantly. Like I wanted to play drums and guitar and everything. Like I've tried it all.
Well, you've got the energy for it.
I've got the energy, but as valiantly as I tried, I failed just as beautifully. And I think that's why, once I got on radio, I taught myself how to DJ. And I think that's my good connection into music and instruments, because there is a fine craft with it. And, a lot of people think it's just pushing buttons or whatever, but I learned on blending vinyl records together. Like that's not just pushing buttons. That's like, you have to hear and listen and have some kind of skill. That's right.
What's it? Give me some good DJ tips. If I'm getting into DJing, give me some good tips.
The biggest tip for me is to know your music, and then also know what your crowd is, because like I said, even in this space, like people will tell you what they're feeling right away. Like I've played clubs all over the world, and New York will tell you real quick what they're feeling, by whether they're dancing, whether they're singing along or not. So just knowing your catalog and having your music organized is imperative. It might not always be about the technical stuff, but if you have the energy and the vibe of the party and you can rock it, you're good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So in your first DJ role, did you have a nickname? Did you have a DJ nickname?
I didn't have a nickname. I think I've always just used the name Hannah Rad. As much as people want to say, "Hey, is that your real last name?" I'm like, in my heart it is, but my government ID says something else. I've used that name for everything, whether that was radio, TV,
I think that counts.
That's what it's always been.
Yeah, I think that counts. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Eric, you're into so much. There's just so much to talk to you about. I really appreciate you coming on the show, because I love getting a glimpse into everything. I don't know how you do it. I mean, I'm tired.
I don't either.
I'm tired just talking with you. You just go so fast.
I know. I feel like it's part of my own energy, but then kind of chopping my teeth in New York has given me like an invaluable set of skills when it comes to hustle and just grinding nonstop. When I moved from New York, because I spent almost 15 years in New York. When I moved fully from New York to LA, it's a very different energy out here. And when things were still fully open, a good day in New York, you can have 3 or 4 meetings and you can run around easy because the subway and all that stuff. A good day in LA, you have 1 meeting, like in person with someone, and you're busy, and it probably didn't start till 2 p.m. But my hustle worked so well here in LA, because everyone's like, "You got 2 meetings today? What?
Hey,
that's unheard of."
The first time I went to New York, just trying to walk around, as you do, you're trying to kind of see the sights. Everybody's moving so fast, and all I was doing was standing still, because I was always stopping and starting, because nobody waits on you. Nobody says, "Excuse me." They're just boom. And you got to either pick up the pace or you're just going to stand there all day, which was what I was doing. And a police officer came up behind me, and he's like, "Man, you're not going to get anywhere doing that. You need to just go."
Yeah. See, that's what I love about New York. And I love New York and LA both for very different reasons. The phrase I keep coming back to is that New York will stab you in the front. Like that police officer, he'll tell you right to your face. LA will stab you in the back. You ain't going to see it coming out here. Everything's like glitz and glamour and like pretty, but New York, they'll tell you right to your face. I don't like you.
Well, they don't have time. They don't have time to waste on you.
No, they don't.
Like you, they're just going to tell you.
Yeah.
Well, Hannah, thank you so much. This has been awesome. I knew it would be.
It's been great, even though you're from Charleston, West Virginia.
I know. You
Pittsburgh forever.
Which, by the way, I am very jealous of your hairstyles over the years.
God, there's been some bad ones.
Look, I miss it. I had back in the 80s, I had the hair.
Yeah.
But it just didn't last. So I think all your hairstyles are awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, you got the eyes going for you, so you got one up on me.
Oh, I'm keeping that. That's the clip. That's what I always get accused of. They're like, "Why are you always playing the clips where people are complimenting you?" And I was like, "Hey,
you're like, it's my show. I do what I want.
It's my show."
Exactly.
So, before you go, Hannah, what's upcoming for you? I know you've got the talk show. What else you got going on that we can see?
Yeah, the Daily Drift continues on. So that's going on through 2021, and then like I said, season 2 of Sorry to Keep You Waiting, the web series that I did on my own, is going to expand a bit. So while season 1 was just me on my own, that's a bit heavy to go a whole nother season on. So I'm going to involve some notable names and faces who are gonna not necessarily go on a road trip.
Are you coming to Charleston?
Am I allowed there? Am I allowed to travel there?
That could be a show.
It could be
a WVU fan hanging out, talking.
It could be. Okay, my interest is peaked, but yeah, I'm gonna bring along some famous friends for some exciting excursions.
Yeah, so that's exciting. That's exciting. Yeah. You don't want to hint at any names?
I mean, if you watch the last episode, and since it's out there already, I went skydiving in the last episode of season 1. And so that's going to bridge us over into some more thrilling adventures that we're going to get into for season 2.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because my daughter did mention that. So she saw that last episode because she's the only one in the family that has went skydiving.
Yeah.
And so her husband was deployed, right? So he was deployed for 6 months. So she was by herself. That was a mistake. Because then she's like, I think I'll go skydiving. Well, she didn't tell any of us. She calls me as she's getting on the plane.
Yeah.
Oh, worst 10 minutes of my life.
Yeah. I didn't tell anyone until after I did it. And I sent my parents like the certificate that says, I just jumped from 15,000 feet. And they're like, aren't you the one who like wouldn't put the star on top of the Christmas tree because you couldn't climb the ladder? You're so afraid of heights. Like, I don't ride roller coasters. Like, I am so terrified of heights. And I was like, you know what? While I'm having this big revealing vulnerable series, let's conquer a tangible fear of mine or overcome something else. So I did that. And that's, like I said, it's going to bridge us over into season 2.
Yeah, that's awesome. You want a good show. Put me in a plane to skydive. We'd only be able to do one episode.
Yeah, the footage I got from that was incredible. Like, it was unexpected and beautiful for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I can't wait. That's really exciting. So last thing, where can we find you on social media?
At Hannah Rad everywhere. You can find it Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, all that. Just look for at Hannah Rad and you'll find me there.
Yeah. See, now you have to come to Charleston and help me get this setup you got going. That is nice.
I can do that. You're working with some good stuff here, though. I'm impressed.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. So when we first started, it's my son and I a couple years ago, and it was just out of our bedroom. It's just out of our bedroom, and we learned with Zoom background. Yeah. If you don't have all the stuff set up, throw that background up.
Chances are, if I'm not here or if I'm out on the actual beach, the background is the beach. So
well, you can't beat that.
Nah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Well, okay, Hannah, thank you so much. Please come back, maybe before season 2. Come back and give us some updates.
For sure. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Hannah Rad. She made me very could run around the room a few times. She was awesome. That was, I love the energy. It's not always easy to maintain that level of energy, and it's very positive. I just absolutely love that. I'd love to work out with her one time. I don't think I could survive more than one time because she said heavy cardio, which I might be able to keep up with it for a little bit, but I'd like to try that one. That's what I should have pitched to her. So Hannah, when you're watching this back, that's what it is. When you come back to Pittsburgh to visit, you got to come to Charleston. We'll film a workout. That's what I want to do. That's the show. Hannah was great. Absolutely love that. Thank you guys so much for listening, for tuning in. Really appreciate that. Please do us a favor. Check us out on Facebook under MeisterCon. You can find us on our website, meistercon.com. Really great stuff on there. You can get all of our episodes, audio and video. We've got a great blog on there from Brett. So please check that out. If you feel like helping out the podcast, we can always use the help. It's patreon.com/MeisterCon. And finally, please check us out on YouTube under MeisterCon Pod, MeisterCon Pod. And make sure you subscribe. Really appreciate that. Talk to you guys real soon. What a fun episode. Thanks, everybody.